How's it going, Lotus?
Hey Mark, what's up? So with your ambition to pay the community back, you had said somewhere that you had taken a snapshot of everyone's holdings. I'm just wondering if you could expand on when that snapshot was taken, and is that something that will be released to the public so people can confirm that their snapshot was correct at that time? And um, just a follow-up personal question. Oh, you can answer that first. I have a kind of different question.
Yeah, before you answer that question, first of all, it's a community initiative to try to figure out how we can best pay back ourselves. And Mark wants to participate with the community in ensuring that we are able to figure out a way to potentially make that happen. But Mark himself is not making any promises to personally pay back anything, or assuming the obligation to pay back anybody. This is a community initiative, so we'll have to do that collectively. But Mark is certainly answer the questions around.
I didn't mean to twist
around the
legal way. The ambition for the community to charge an effort to help each other regarding the snapshot. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, that ambition is alive and well. So for the snapshot, we have a specific script that can go through and pull all the holders' balances that have interacted with our contract. It's built from scratch based off of everyone's interaction with the contract. And in there, we can specify a certain block number. I don't remember exactly which block number it was, but we got the block number right before the attack took place. And we have a few extra ones of slightly after, and a few minutes after, and a few hours after. So we can really draw conclusions as to who lost what, for sure. But I wouldn't feel necessarily comfortable posting it publicly, because I don't want these people to be subject to certain schemes like dusting attacks. But we are trying to build a DApp out where everyone will be able to see what was lost and what steps, how effective the community has been at recovering those losses through Surge itself and through the various parts of the ecosystem. It is a push. It is a push to fix, to help people again. That's on the forefront of my mind. And any products that Surge creates in the future, that's going to be on their mind as well. Even though, like we said, we don't know who is responsible for this. As a community, we should be standing up together to try to help those who lost a lot. And that's a stance I'm not going to be changing in until I feel confident that the people who have been hurt don't feel that way anymore.
I can definitely agree with you on that. I feel like as a community, and not just I'm not just speaking as a Surge community, I mean as like a DeFi community, we should all be helping each other. My follow-up question was kind of like a personal question out of my own curiosity. I actually wasn't aware that you had just started learning this type of language, less than a year ago. I'm just curious what drew you into getting into this space and making these contracts.
Honestly, SafeMoon is what inspired me to start looking into DeFi. Not necessarily SafeMoon, but the concept of reflections, the concept of being able to manipulate digital assets in this way to have really cool properties. That's what initially sparked my interest. And honestly, what got me started into DeFi was that first SafemoonMark video. That was the introduction right there. I've been learning Solidity on the low for a while, but that was the only time I actually started to teach it to myself in a full capacity.
The first transaction was what they actually did is they took 10,000 BNB. Well, I shouldn't say took, but with the swaps, as long as you do all of your transactions within the same block of the blockchain, you're able to take funds from one place and do whatever you want with them, as long as you return them at the end. The liquidity pool that you took them from sees that, okay, we zeroed out, we have the same that came back. So they actually took 10,000 BNB, which is about $4 million from the wrapped BNB pool to execute the hack. And then they did 8 pairs of buying and selling of Surge. And each time that they did a buy and a sell, the price of Surge would change based off of that. And they just backed them up one on the other. And were basically able to come out with about 22,000 BNB. They paid back the original 10,000 BNB that they borrowed, plus a $30 fee for doing it, and started sending out the rest in other directions. Then there was about a 2-hour pause, and then 2 hours later, they started launching more smart contracts to pick up the remaining amount of BNB in there, which I didn't even notice that until last night, because I was just focusing on that first contract that they were looking at, or that they made. But yeah, even the very last hack that they did, they only made out with 5 BNBs.
So it was a flash loan attack, is what you're saying?
Right.
And there was no, other than the $30 in the gas fees and whatnot, there was no money up front required to execute this hack. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, because it all just came out of the wrap BNB pool, and then the original funds that they used to do it just went right back to where they started from. That pool says, okay, I zeroed out plus the fee that was charged for whatever was gone, and I'm all good, and it lets that transaction go through, which allows all the other ones to go through.
Yeah, that $30 sounds about right, because normally each transaction is about $2. You put it at 18, and then you got the plus up on bulking it on the transaction, which is about a 40% on it. That doesn't sound too off.
Right. So it was 30 BNB fee, because there was a total of 0.3%, because the Pancake pool that they took it out of has a 0.15% per transaction fee. So they did one transaction taking it out, that was 0.15%, one transaction putting it back in. So then that added up to the 30 BNB fee that was charged, that they had to pay back, plus the 10,000 BNB.
Now, if for everyone listening, if they want to kind of follow along with what Ryan's talking about, Ryan did post, he tweeted a technical analysis breakdown with some charts and graphs to kind of help visualize what's going on. So after they executed the exploit and received the money from the surge contract, where did you see that money go, and what happened with it?
So they must have been prepared, or they already had a system to allow them to do this. They just started distributing it out like a spider web, kind of, from the original point where they got it, and they started sending it out to 10 accounts from there, and then those accounts would switch it into a different currency like Ethereum, and then those accounts would send it out to another set of accounts, and it just kept spider webbing out. I mean, there's probably over 100 different accounts that it has transferred and switched funds through since the original account, and it's just like an automated thing, just churning it through to make it more confusing, going through different liquidity pools and coming back and circling around. Just a big cluster to try and disguise where the funds are going.
With your knowledge and your experience as a developer, aside from the flash loan contract itself, how complicated is it to create the contracts that we're executing, sending the money out into different wallets?
I mean, it depends. It would take some time to do, but it's similar to how people use arbitrage, where you just you have to. Arbitrage actually takes another step, because you need to know the prices of different things when you're trading funds around. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be too difficult to just create a little bot that could come up with new wallet keys and send funds to it, tell it to swap out. I mean, yeah, it would probably take me a day or two to code something like that. So anyone that is competent in Solidity would be able to figure it out. Or yeah, that was actually probably not it's not a Solidity contract that's distributing the funds right now. It's more like a local program running on their computer that just has access to individual wallets. They funded the wallet through what's called the Typhoon network, which is like an anonymous transaction pool. And then as far as going back out, I mean, I traced it. They're pulling some funds out to Binance already through the Binance hot wallets.
We believe they use SwapChain as well to exit.
Yeah, they mixed it up. I mean, they definitely took some time to try and do it in a way that would obscure things.
How much of the money are you losing in gas when you do that?
The gas compared to what they took is minuscule. I mean, even if they ended up spending 10,000 on gas, which probably the gas was, I mean, I don't even know, but it's negligible compared to the amount that they ended up taking.
Gotcha. And in this case, it'll all drain into a lot of different wallets, or will it all eventually try to come back in a one wallet?
Who knows? I mean, they've sent it out to so many different wallets. I'm sure they're keeping track of the keys of all these new wallets that they keep creating. But there's just funds sitting all over the place, and then they'll move and swap out to a different token, and it just keeps moving and moving all over. It's going to be interesting to see if they discover who's doing all this stuff, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities with how many different points that they're creating to exit the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's what. So this kind of shuffle, I mean, ideally can go on for however long they want, right?
Sure, they could let this thing run for a year before they really start pulling stuff out. But from what I was looking at, they're about 7 or 8 transactions deep. They did start pulling some out to a Binance hot wallet, about 2 or 3 Ethereum at a time through different accounts. And it's clearly a bot that's doing it, because the way that the transactions are, there's exactly 25 transactions on most of these intermediary wallets that do the same sequence of swaps with the same amount of Ethereum that they're sending back out to five more random addresses. So it's clearly like just blocks of code that somebody wrote to distribute it out.
Were these all like new anonymous wallets, or did you come across anything that you recognized from other lookings into the blockchain?
No, these were all new wallets. So every wallet was created brand new for it, and there was only one single wallet that received funds for the original gas fees, and that came through the Typhoon network.
What do you mean that by they are withdrawing the money into Binance Hot Wallet 6?
So on BSC Scan, they label certain hot wallets that are known. And what is a hot wallet? A hot wallet is a wallet held by an exchange that you deposit or receive funds to. And Binance has a bunch of them, being as big as they are. And BSC Scan, I don't know the meaning of number 6, but it's just the one that they label as Binance Hot Wallet number 6. And if you use Binance and you're not in the United States, these are the wallets that you would withdraw to.
So once these transactions go into the hot wallet, it's my impression that they can no longer be tracked.
Not unless you're Binance and you have the internal records, correct?
Was this like a nested reentrance attack in terms of its execution? Like, were they nesting buy-sell actions inside of sell, or like, and somehow bypass the not reentrant, or did the malicious contract manage to pull it off in a different way?
So it looks like the way that the balance is updating on the contract itself is not taking the total amount of supply out. Some lines of code where it looked like if it was swapped around, it wouldn't have been able to happen.
The thing that's really digging at my brain here is how, I'm assuming that when they called sell, they also called other functions within it, which non-reentrant should really have like locked that out with something close to a mutex.
If you look at the stack trace, which you can pull up on BSC Scan, which is just the really detailed technical information, you can see there's like 6 calls in there that reverted, but because the other ones were already in the process of running, they kept continuing on. So there's some attacks that can happen, and there's a prevention to it called a reentrancy guard, where if you do an attack, it's complicated, but you can basically leave a door open for yourself as long as you're quick enough to start a transaction and then continue with another transaction. And it's when you add this reentrancy guard to a function, the function basically locks up if it has been entered. If it has started, then it doesn't allow it to happen again until it has completed. And that has not, as you just mentioned, it's not on the Ethereum version of it.
Is there a reason you could think of that it was removed from the other surge contracts and not the BNB one that was?
Sorry, can I, if I chime in? Like, I may have something to add here.
Yeah.
Just thinking out loud here, but because you're using tokens, because you're using wrapped ETH in the Ethereum contract, you actually have enough of, like, your transactions are going to go through PancakeSwap router. So you actually have, like, there's some give there. Like, you couldn't, unless you're actually using a massive set of nested functions, if you pass a set of nested functions to a PancakeSwap router, then PancakeSwap is going to tell you to go to hell.
or I'm wrong on that. That's my thinking on it. Just the first glance.
Right, and that's one of the extra security things which make the liquidity pools a little better to use. Because
is there a reason you can think of with your knowledge and experience that that portion would not be in any other surge contracts?
yeah, I don't know, because he put the library in there, but there's to actually use the library, there's something called a modifier where you add this modifier and it just says non-reentrant and you add it to the function that you need it on, but it wasn't actually added on it, even though the library is in there just not being used. So I don't know why.
So Ryan, could it have been taken out of the code for Surge BNB if everything else is in there except the non-reentrant?
Now without reissuing a whole new.
No, I mean when it was created.
In the BNB contract, it's something that he actually built in what's called a constructor. This is whenever you actually call the contract, it makes an object called the contract, and it makes all this, like it creates it. So in that case, he wrote okay, how to use a decent analogy here. The analogy in this case is if you're standing at an ATM, what a non-reentrant does is it makes it so that basically everyone can't go to the ATM at the exact same, like you can't have one guy walks up, starts entering his PIN, the next guy comes up, puts in his card at the same time. It makes a line.
Right.
And then the analogy for the flaw in the contract in terms of the sell function, the initial problem, it would be, to describe it, is the ATM puts out the cash and then afterwards it updates your bank balance. So if you copied your debit card 50 times and then you went to 50 ATMs at the same time and tried to withdraw from all of them, then all of them see you have enough money and they all put out cash and then they all at the same time update your balance and your bank shows your bank balance is like minus whatever, how much money. To expand the analogy a bit, of a breakdown a bit, is in the Ethereum contract, because you have to swap to wrapped Ethereum, think of it like your ATM, you go to your ATM and you go to withdraw euro. So your bank has to send it to something to exchange dollars to euro from your account. And that exchanger is not going to give you euro if it hasn't gotten dollars. So you can't call, give me euro 50 times and it hasn't received the relevant funds. Now, there's still some give there where I need to fill in the explanation, because technically you could just keep sending it BNB from the contract to supplement that. But that's kind of where I'm currently stuck with the understanding.
Yeah, the ATM analogy was good.